Samsung's latest foldables keep things basically familiar but refined in key ways. One main change, however, is something that might make the Samsung faithful properly flip out. Hey, it's Joshua Vergara. What's going on, everybody? Here are the latest from Samsung, straight from Korea. Yeah, I'm in Seoul for Samsung Unpacked, and I just want to put some gratitude out there that I'm even here for the event. I also want to extend some gratitude to all of you for coming to watch my video on the latest Samsung smartphones, smartwatches, and tablets. There was a lot to get through in this round for Unpacked, but as it turns out, most of the formulas basically return, with one or two main aspects changed up. So let's get into it. The Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 5 looks a lot like last year's phone, but for enthusiasts of this particular form factor, and that includes multitaskers and productivity nuts, the slight update to the design might actually be worth the price of admission, or at the very least, the price after a trade-in. The hinge has been updated across the foldable lineup this year, making it so that the mechanism is not just sturdier, but lets the phones actually fold flat. You see, in previous phones, there was always this little bit of an opening, wider at the hinge and minimizing as it goes to the ends. However, this time around, they are properly flat and symmetrical devices when folded down. So the phone actually feels like a proper brick. That being said, the aspect ratio of the screen is still going to be this rather thin, very narrow aspect ratio, which to some of you out there might be a little bit odd, but I feel like this aspect ratio is just enough to fit basically anything you would want to do on the outer screen. And of course, if you do need to have more real estate, that's when you open this thing up. That being said, the updated hinge basically rounds out the main hardware update to the Galaxy Z Fold 5. It's still a properly powerful device, now rocking the latest and greatest Snapdragon 8 Gen 2, complete with enough RAM and storage to run multiple apps at once or to keep plenty of apps and media on the device itself. The battery is a 4400 mAh unit, and of course longevity will depend on how much you're using the combination of the screens. The 7.6-inch inner display, despite the updated hinge, still shows that crease. Now, personally, I think it's a bit more inconspicuous than before, but the moment that you do go looking for that little dip, well, you find it, and that's just the way it goes with these foldables. But it's in using the larger display that a few more changes are apparent in the Galaxy Z Fold 5, namely in the software. It's more about making that whole experience just a little bit more accessible now. The dock is now more persistent and extends to the length of the screen, making it easier to access recent apps or the app drawer to drag and drop into a grid of multiple apps. And while this kind of counts as a hardware update for the Fold, there is a new S Pen that is sold separately that is much thinner than the ones that were previously bundled with the Folds in certain cases. Anyone that wanted the supersized Galaxy Note experience can still get it here, and now the smaller S Pen fits into a new official case. However, if you're looking to do extra S Pen functions like using the stylus as a remote shutter release for the camera, the Galaxy Fold 5 still requires the larger S Pen Pro for its internal battery and Bluetooth, which are missing in the thinner version. Speaking of the cameras, we're getting the same sensors and configurations from the previous Z Fold 4. Again, hardware is not the focus here, it seems, as Samsung simply continues to optimize the software processing. The camera app still comes with plenty of modes and capabilities, and for most people that might want to do smartphone photography with their tablet convertible, well, you could certainly do a lot worse. I still enjoy these foldables because of the ability to use the rear cameras as selfie or vlog shooters while using the outer display as the viewfinder. Is the experience essentially the same as with last year's phone? Basically, but that also means it remains a good one. On the other hand, quite literally, we have the more substantial updates that are made to the Samsung Galaxy Z Flip 5. You knew this one was coming. A larger cover display that allows for way more functionality, even running full apps where applicable. Now, I used to say that the outer display in most flip smartphones was like putting a smartwatch on the outside of a phone, and I actually chuckled when I heard Samsung say something pretty similar themselves during my hands-on experience. But now we're getting larger displays on these covers and the possibilities therein. Samsung seems to take a pretty measured approach at first with their 3.4-inch cover display, initially keeping it to widget home screens that give you information on weather, agenda, quick shortcuts to things like timers, quick settings, and notifications. The screen does not extend all the way around the entire cover surface and instead has this like folder-like shape where the little flap extension leaves a couple of icons or a quick shortcut to certain background tasks like timers. So there's no bleeding over the camera hardware here, and depending on how much you want to do with the cover display, this from Samsung might be a bit of a cleaner take. As far as doing more things on the cover, running full applications is possible, but perhaps not totally officially. I say that because there is a limited set of apps in the lab settings for the cover display, which includes ones like YouTube. While that list might seem limited, that also means you can expect those apps to basically operate properly on the cover display, minimizing some of the jank that might come up otherwise. But I am told that when Good Lock is updated for the Galaxy Flip 5, you will be able to customize the top cover screen so that you'll be able to open up even more applications, potentially every single one. First impressions on the design is that, well, it feels a little bit boxier than before, but I feel like that's been happening with each generation over the last few years. But maybe the reason why it is a lot flatter or feels flatter on the sides is because, well, once it is folded down, Samsung wanted it to be as flat as possible. There's no more gap inside of the Galaxy Flip 5 and the Fold 5. Now, everything is completely closed off. Now you can expect that my favorite new feature to come out of the larger cover display is having a larger viewfinder for the rear cameras. Again, the cameras on the Galaxy Z Flip 5 are basically the same as last year's, meaning you're not getting a proper zoom lens. Other than the camera being good but not, let's say, exceptionally powerful in the sensors, the lack of zoom has been one of my only main detractors in flip smartphones. So those quibbles aside, there is the larger outer display now, providing a way better look at yourself when vlogging or getting easy vertical videos and photos done when using the phone as its own little tripod. And that's using either the cover or the flex mode using the inner display camera. Now for some, that might be a pretty big deal, and not just for content creators like me, it's just a nice quality of life update. You can look forward to me trying this out for my own social media and for a real-world camera test that I'm planning to do in Korea since I'm going to be staying here for a while. You can look forward to that little travel style video by subscribing to my channel. I said it a second ago, but it really bears repeating. Quality life updates. It's really what we can call the changes in both smartphones. I do have links in the description down below that you can use for getting any of the devices announced at Samsung Unpacked, so please do check them out downstairs. Trade-ins are always a great option for updating to the new smartphones, and especially if you're coming from the previous generation of the Flip and the Fold, well, there are some good reasons to upgrade. There's better performance, better folding, better covers, and plenty of fresh colors and accessories to choose from. So let me know what you think of the new Galaxy Z Flip and Z Fold 5 in the comments down below, while I round out the rest of the announced devices from Unpacked. We're also getting some wearables as the Galaxy Watches have also been updated, though moving forward actually meant bringing back a feature that I think quite a few people did want to return. That's right, the Galaxy Watch 6 Classic brings back the tactile rotating bezel for a unique and honestly fun way of navigating the interface. Now, both watches come in two different sizes, making all of the features in either edition accessible for more wrist sizes, and I definitely want to get the Classic edition on my wrist, maybe the larger version actually. Everything else is pretty much what you would expect. A 1.3 or 1.5 inch AMOLED display depending on what size watch you choose, a battery that could go for, let's say, a couple of days before needing a charge depending on your usage, and a version of Wear OS that we can only really get through the partnership of Samsung and Google. It's literally called Wear OS powered by Samsung. And after all, right now it's only really on the Samsung and Google smartwatches that you can get proper Google Assistant. And finally, on the tablet front, we have the Galaxy Tab S9 lineup. And of course, if the Galaxy Fold 5 is somehow not enough screen for you, you can always just go Ultra, because this is the Galaxy Tab S9 Ultra. This is basically a 14, almost 15-inch screen right here in a tablet form factor. This is a huge screen. There's not too much I can really say about this massive canvas that you maybe can't already see in these clips, because really it's all about having this amount of real estate. It's like blowing up the Galaxy Z Fold 5 experience. Multitasking, media consumption, and productivity can all be a joy on a huge AMOLED panel like this, powered by the right specs like the Snapdragon 8 Gen 2. While I may not really be the kind of person that converts fully to a tablet for daily tasks, I can certainly see this as a great way of just enjoying some shows in bed, on the couch, or around the house. Samsung knows that accessories complete many of their experiences, so the S Pen that magnetizes to the back and any connected keyboards would round everything out here nicely. And for my hands-on, I just wanted to enjoy some viewing, and I was pleasantly surprised at how loud the speakers got in that pretty open area. I don't want to get copyright strike because I'm playing 7 by Jungkook. The speakers are actually pretty good on here. And so, there you have it, all of the announcements from Unpacked as Samsung puts some proper quality of life updates into their smartphones, smartwatches, and tablets. Let me know what you think about everything that was announced in the comments, and don't forget to check the links in the description to get these devices for yourself. But with all of that said, again, coming to you from Seoul for Unpacked, it's pretty great that Samsung was able to do Unpacked in Korea this time around, so I feel pretty blessed to be able to be here. But with all that said, you can look forward to more content from me, not just on these devices, but also on these devices here in Seoul and in South Korea. So until then, I'm going to call it on this one. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. Please take care of yourselves and each other, and enjoy your tea, everybody.